everyone, thanks for joining me again this week. So I wanted to sort of give an update video following my thyroid cancer video, which I'll link down below. If you're new to the channel, I did have thyroid cancer about 2 years ago, and I ended up having 2 surgeries to remove my thyroid and some lymph nodes. And I was diagnosed with papillary thyroid cancer. Luckily, I didn't end up needing any radiation or any of the radioactive iodine treatment afterwards, so all I had were the 2 surgeries. So I kind of wanted just to give an update sort of following that video. It's been a little less than 2 years now since my last surgery, since I had the total thyroidectomy. And I've had a few sort of comments on that video, you know, asking how I was doing and stuff like that. And I want to make the video sort of for anyone else who's had the surgery or is going to have the surgery and wants to know sort of what to expect after getting thyroid cancer, having a thyroidectomy, and maybe any side effects that can come along with that. So as far as cancer-wise, I'm still, knock on wood, cancer-free. Like I said, only had the surgeries. I didn't have to have any follow-up treatment with that. And I sort of go for regular blood work and ultrasounds to make sure that everything's okay. So one of sort of the side effects that I think I touched on a little bit in my other thyroid cancer video was sort of the adjustment period that you have when you have your whole thyroid taken out and then being put on thyroid pills to sort of put all your levels back to normal. I would say for me, it took a good year for my body to adjust, I guess, to the thyroid medication. At the point I'm at now, my thyroid levels are stable and in the normal range, but I felt like after recovering from my thyroid surgery, I felt very sort of not myself, very sluggish, easily tired, and I think that was sort of just adjusting to the thyroid medications. As well, one of sort of the other side effects, unfortunately, that I had is my parathyroid glands have been permanently damaged. So this sort of side effect can happen only in about 5% of thyroidectomy cases, or so I've heard. So unfortunately what happened in my case, either all of my parathyroid glands were removed or they were severely damaged and will never work again. If you don't know, your parathyroid glands, I explained it in my other video, but they're little glands that sort of sit on your thyroid, and they're very teensy tiny and very sensitive. So they can easily sort of get taken out during the surgery or stunned or damaged during the surgery. I ended up having actually 3 surgeries. The first one to remove the half of my thyroid with the cancer in it, and then a second surgery to remove the other half, and then I ended up having a 3rd emergency surgery just like 6 hours after my 2nd surgery because I ended up having a hematoma. I ended up having bleeding in my neck, and unfortunately I didn't have a drain tube in because my surgeon thought it was unnecessary to put one in. So unfortunately all the blood pooled in my neck, and I ended up having to have a 3rd surgery. So I think all of that jostling around, moving around, damaged my parathyroid glands. I'm not 100% sure if it was that or if they were taken out. So unfortunately now I have hypoparathyroidism. So what that means is my calcium absorption and sort of blood calcium levels are going to be permanently damaged for the rest of my life. When I did my first video, you know, it's sort of a normal thing that your calcium levels can kind of drop and you need to be on calcium and vitamin D supplements afterwards. So when I filmed my first video, I sort of said that they still weren't functioning like they should have been, and that hopefully within another month or 2 that they'd be back up to normal. what ended up happening was I went off the vitamin D pills for about a year, but we're still on the calcium pills. I took anywhere between 2 500 milligram calcium pills a day to 3 500 milligram calcium pills a day. So nothing, you know, too crazy, but over that year, I was still experiencing symptoms of low calcium, getting tingling in my hands a lot, having muscle cramps and muscle tightness a lot, and even sometimes muscle weakness. So what ended up happening was in March of this year, I had an attack of tachycardia. So out of nowhere, I was just sitting in my office at work, and all of a sudden my heart started beating really, really fast, like really fast. And it sort of felt like it was pounding out of my chest. And it wasn't sort of a panic attack or anxiety attack, because I'm used to having anxiety and sort of having a racing heart rate. This was, I had a couple of heart palpitations, my heart sort of fluttered and skipped a beat, and then all of a sudden I could feel it just pounding really hard. So I ended up calling an ambulance, and before the ambulance even got there, it sort of went back into rhythm in a split second like that. But they took me into the hospital anyways. And they ended up finding that my calcium was extremely low, and so I ended up being put on 2 calcium drips, had to go back to the hospital a week later and be put on another calcium drip, and they also put me back on the vitamin D. You know, I'm kind of making this video to hopefully reach out to other people who have had this side effect from the surgery, and I don't want to, if you haven't had the surgery yet, I don't want to scare you thinking that this is what's going to happen to you. Like I said, it's a very rare thing to have happen, but I also just like to caution, if you are getting the surgery done, make sure you're going to a surgeon who either specializes in thyroid surgeries or does these surgeries more regularly throughout the year. So I think my mistake is I took my doctor's advice and I just went with a regular ear, nose, and throat surgeon. And unfortunately, he doesn't do too many of those surgeries a year, but I put my trust in him, and I think it was just a lack of experience from the surgeon and possibly just, you know, bad luck as well. I really want to make this video to sort of give information to others, but also to see if there's anyone else out there who has had this side effect happen or has hypoparathyroidism, has, you know, chronically low or unstable calcium. Just because I want to be able to talk with someone out there who has it. I feel sort of alone right now struggling with this issue, and it does suck, you know. It sucks that I'm going to have this issue for the rest of my life. You know, it could possibly have some health complications in the future. You know, I'm already at risk for having osteoporosis, and this sort of, I think, just increases my chances of that. And it sucks that I have to be on not only thyroid pills every day for the rest of my life, but also calcium and vitamin D pills every day for the rest of my life. In the grand scheme of things, I know it's not too big of an issue, but it still, you know, it sort of sucks having to struggle with this, and I still struggle with it. So, you know, I go for regular blood work to manage my calcium levels, but I still, from time to time, it seems sort of random, some days I might get the tingliness back in my hands and my arms, and end up just taking an extra calcium pill that day, and that usually sort of balances things out. But it sucks, you know, to sort of have to worry about that, and to make sure that wherever I go or whatever I'm doing, that I have my calcium pills on me, or I have enough pills on me to be able to last me, you know, however long I'm going to be away from home. I don't know if anyone has sort of any questions about this. You know, I try to sort of explain this as best as I can and sort of give an update for everyone. But if any of you guys have questions out there about this, about the side effects, about sort of anything like that, I'd be happy to answer those questions. Like I said, I just wanted to sort of give an update for anyone who's been wondering, to just let you know that I'm still, you know, I'm still relatively healthy. You know, I don't have the cancer anymore. I'm starting to feel a little bit more like myself, a little bit better. Last year, you know, suffering with the low calcium for a year was a real big struggle for me. I didn't feel like myself, so it's nice to sort of be back to normal with that. I guess that's it. I do want to say one more thing too. I want to give a shout out to all my new subscribers. It's really nice when I have sort of people subscribe to my channel who aren't friends or who aren't family. So if you are one of those people who subscribe to me, please leave a comment saying hi, maybe introducing yourself, and sort of I want to give a thank you for subscribing. It really does mean a lot to me that you find me interesting, I guess, I don't know. Thank you guys again so much for joining me this week, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!